Welcome back to Never Don't Ask, and we're doing something different. We're not doing a station review. On the countdown to Railway 200's anniversary, we are going to look at 200 rail landmarks from the UK. We're going to break them down into 20s and make a run out to the Rail 200 anniversary of Stockton and Darlington. And so, of course, for the 200th anniversary, we are going to start in 1725, where the Tanfield Wagonway has opened. This has been in use since at least 1725. It was first built as a wooden-railed, horse-drawn wagonway to help get coal from the collieries of County Durham to the River Tyne. By 1840, it was a steel-railed railway powered by stationary steam engines. 1861 saw locomotives being used. The railway is still in use 300 years later, with a good argument for it being the oldest railway still in use in the world. The 9th of the 6th, 1758, the Middleton Railway Act was passed in Parliament, establishing the Middleton Railway in Leeds and establishing its claim to be the oldest continually worked railway in the world, as it's the oldest that has been established by a parliamentary act. 1798 saw the opening of the Lake Lock Railroad. This narrow gauge, horse-drawn railway ran for 3 miles near Wakefield in Yorkshire and was the first public from the outset railway. 1802 saw the Surrey Iron Railway linking Wandsworth and Croydon. Originally planned as a canal, a shortage of water led this to being built as one of the first public railways. It was a toll railway and horse-drawn. It was barely able to compete with the canals, and the lightly laid plateway couldn't support steam locomotives, so closed in 1846. Also in 1802, the Coalbrookdale Company built a steam locomotive to the design of Richard Terrific. Terrific had pioneered the use of high-pressure steam in Great Britain in the 1790s and had already built a stationary engine for the Coalbrookdale Company. Whether this locomotive actually ran or what it looked like is up for debate, but later in 1802, the Penny Darren locomotive, also to Terrific's design, was built, and a working replica of that still exists in Wales. The 25th of the 3rd, 1807, Swansea and Mumbles Rail opened up to passengers. This was a horse-drawn line, but it was the first passenger railway in the world. In 1812, the Middleton Railway introduced steam locomotives. Although based on Terrific's Catch Me If You Can, Matthew Murray designed Salamanca to transfer its drive to a toothed rail laying next to the running rail. This is because the line's manager believed that the locomotive with enough adhesion to cope with the loads and gradients would be too heavy for the cast iron rails. With Salamanca, the Middleton Railway became the first commercial railway to successfully operate a steam locomotive. Although on a sad note, a 13-year-old boy named John Bruce was probably the first person ever killed by a locomotive while it was running along the tracks. At the start of 1814, Puffing Billy, built by William Hedley, John Forster and Timothy Hackworth for the Wyndham Colliery near Newcastle upon Tyne, emerged. This 8-ton locomotive still resides at the Science Museum. It is the oldest surviving steam locomotive. In February 1814, George Stephenson, engine wright at the Killingworth Colliery, produced his first locomotive. It was to be named Blucher after the Prussian general who helped defeat Napoleon. And yeah, I know that Waterloo came a year afterwards, but that's the name of the loco. On the 23rd of the 10th, 1820, John Birkinshaw patented wrought iron rails. These were a great improvement on the brittle cast iron rails that frequently broke and limited the weight of locomotives, which in turn limited the amount they could haul. And here we go. It's the 27th of September, 1825. It is the opening of the Stockton and Darlington Railway, the first railway to use steam locomotives to transport passengers, although it was primarily a line to move coal from the collieries to the River Tees at Stockton. 5th of the 3rd, 1827, a blind American beggar is how an unnamed woman was described, who was the first person to be recorded as being hit and killed by a train. Sometime in October 1827, Timothy Hackworth's Royal George saw service on the Stockton Darlington Railway. This was the first 060 locomotive. A sure-footed design, this arrangement lasted throughout steam, from its use on freight locomotives to branch line tank engines, including Thomas the Tank Engine. It carries on in use on Network Rail today with the Class 08 shunters. Popping out of the UK for a little bit, in the 12th of the 12th, 1827, a Frenchman, Marc Sanguin, patented the fire tube boiler, which used multiple small tubes to take hot gases through the boiler, giving more surface area and a much more efficient heating than the previous single flue boilers. Sanguin also developed the first suspension bridge. The Stephensons would use fire tube boilers on their next locomotive. On the 6th of the 10th, 1829, this was the first day of the Rainhill Trials, where a series of locomotives from different designers tried to prove which was the best for powering the in construction Liverpool and Manchester Railway. Because the locomotives had to be transported to the railway by road, most suffered damage en route, so only Rocket, built by Robert and George Stephenson, successfully completed the trials. The official opening of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, the world's first intercity railway, was the 15th of September 1830. The November 1830 minutes of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway refer to its police force, the forerunners obviously of the British Transport Police. On the 11th of November 1830, the first mail was moved by rail, with the General Post Office coming to an agreement with the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. The 23rd of November 1830, Planet, the 9th locomotive to be built for the Liverpool and Manchester, did the run between these cities in an hour. Planet marked another step towards modern locomotives with horizontal inside cylinders. It was also the precursor of a class of locomotives, the first time that one design had been built in numbers. A replica still exists and normally resides at the Museum of Science and Industry in Manchester. And landmark number 20. The Warrington and Newton line opened. This linked the Liverpool and Manchester Railway at Newton Junction, what is now Earlstown. It was named Earlstown after Liverpool and Manchester director James Hardman Earl. The tight curves of this junction that still exists today used to break the crank axles of engines, which led to the adoption of steam locomotives with outside cylinders on that railway and its successors. Earlstown is the oldest remaining junction station in the world. Thank you for watching these 20 rail landmarks from the earliest days of rail industry in the UK. We'll be back tomorrow with another 20 as we head towards more modern day. Like, subscribe if you like the video. Please check out my station reviews and other content on this channel. Till next time.